Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Coinbase. It is time for another update, and on this chart we have been tracking this idea of a larger 5-wave move to the upside being possibly complete within this wave 1. Yeah, this would be a leading diagonal. Then we were tracking a larger correction in a wave 2 into the area of support in 3 waves into the levels between this $161.5 all the way down to the $55.5 level. Now, even though it is certainly possible for us to extend lower, we have even been tracking preferred extension lower within this area. At the very least, with this 3-wave move to the downside, it is also possible for us to look for extensions higher. And that is why we have here the orange interpretation, which assumes that this 5th wave could extend. Yeah, and of course that is a realistic expectation we should have. We could have formed the top. We don't need any additional structure to the upside to consider this pattern within the wave 1 in yellow full, but extensions are certainly possible, and that is what we are tracking this area of support in orange for, between the $287.5 all the way down to the $181.7. As long as we hold this area of support, it can be still interesting to look for a reversal into the wave C to the upside, and it can actually become particularly interesting if we manage to form an internal 5-wave move to the upside within this smaller time frame. Yeah, it could be a 1-2 setup, part of the larger wave C. Now, that would be interesting if we manage to form the entire 5-wave move, because this wave C could form a larger ending diagonal, in which case it would be generally more difficult to find positions, to find likely or high likelihood trade setups. But yeah, it can still be an area we should pay attention to. Now, within this push to the downside, initially there was a significant risk that this could have formed a larger 5-wave move. Yeah, we could have been looking for a 1-2 setup here, and that is what we have been tracking within this area initially, but we were also looking for a possible A-B setup, because within the initial push to the downside we have formed a 5-wave structure, and we were looking for a 3-wave correction into the area of resistance for continuation lower with high likelihood. Yeah, we managed to push basically to the end the 78.6% retracement at the $406 level. Didn't quite touch it, but we did manage to get very close to it within a 3-wave pattern, and now, as expected, we formed another 5-wave move to the downside. But fortunately, within this structure to the downside, we actually are building an ending diagonal, meaning that this cannot be a wave 3, meaning that we shouldn't expect a larger correction in a wave 4 and the 5th wave to extend once this wave C is complete. And based on the internal structure, based on the internal count, I could assume it to be complete. I could have here a 1, 2, 3, 4th and the 5th. Yeah, I have the entire 5-wave move. I don't need any additional structure to the downside, but extensions are certainly still possible. Yeah, the same way we are tracking in the orange interpretation in this wave C an extension of the 5th wave. Well, we are doing the same thing here in the smaller time frame for the white and blue scenario. Yeah, for the white interpretation, we can assume a bottom to be in place within this 5th wave, but we could also assume within the blue interpretation to be only an A wave to the downside to get another B wave up, and then an extension lower within the 5th wave, or not within the 5th wave, within the wave C of the larger 5th wave in the white scenario. And this actually seems to be following through. In this push to the downside, I could even argue that this is a 5-wave move within the wave A, which suggests with high probability that after a 3-wave correction into the area of resistance between the $246.7 all the way up to the $271, we should expect with high likelihood at the very least another 5-wave move to the downside. Well, this plays out very well into the blue interpretation, in which we expect still another low, and yeah, it seems we might have formed a top within this wave B at this point. Now, what would we expect for this wave C to the downside? Well, I would be looking here for an ideal target at the 100% extension of the wave A, which is around the $208 level. But keep in mind, we don't need to get there, and we don't need to stop there. This is of course an ideal target that wave C is generally drawn towards, but for example, we might be only getting to the 61.8% retracement, the $220 level, and find an early bottom within that area. And even though this may be interesting from a couple of perspectives, so we are decently deep within the area of support, we are towards the end of a larger pattern, we have a full count, it can start to be an interesting accumulation area even from a larger time frame perspective, because even if we don't manage to build the entire wave C to the upside, a larger retracement could be easily expected once we form a bottom within this area. Yeah, we are also close to or not even close. We are already seeing divergences within this structure to the downside. We might form another low. We might see even another divergence here on the daily time frame. But unfortunately, we are actually lacking the initial 5-wave move to the upside. And I can tell you, even though we are following through, we are building this blue interpretation according to expectations perfectly, we could already be in the C wave to the upside. There is no guarantee that we will get another low, but the probabilities do suggest that we do get here a wave C to the downside, yeah? The probabilities highly favor another low within this pattern, within this larger correction, within this larger movement to the downside, within, yeah, basically everything. We do expect another low based on the internal structure we have within this area. But for a high probability trade setup, I would still need to see, unfortunately, the reversal, a 5-wave move to the upside. To look for a high probability trade setup, I would need this and a 3-wave correction into the area of support. And again, I tell you, if you're interested on this chart, we are seeing some interesting points here. We are in the area of support in orange to decently deep levels. We are likely heading even lower. We are in this pattern to the downside within a possibly full count already, possibly extending lower. Yeah, I prefer that. And it can be interesting for some accumulation, but I'm not telling you what to do. I would provide here an interesting trade setup, but only once we have the initial 5-wave move to the upside. And then if we build this structure in the ABC pattern, we might not in the end build a C wave to the upside. We might get only a larger correction and then extend still deeper into the yellow area of support. That is perfectly normal. That can be tracked. We will be looking for such a risk. We will be tracking internal levels of support that would suggest this structure to the upside within the wave C is going to fail. But at this point, yeah, I'm still looking at it with high interest, and I will actually continue to track continuation higher. Now, within this structure, as I was mentioning, we can track here the wave C to the upside to have already started, but it's not necessarily a high probability interpretation for me. And for this, we can track a more generic area of support at levels between the $248 all the way down to the $233 level. Now, again, not necessarily the most likely scenario. We did get so far into the 61.8% retracement. We did get a tiny reaction here, but this structure could very easily extend to the downside. And yeah, what I could track even would be a series of 1-2 setups within this area, and the third wave could still appear. Yeah, it could take us to very deep levels. This wave C could extend, possibly, who knows, maybe even to the last level of support. I wouldn't make such assumptions just yet because it is only within such a small time frame and we don't really have enough data. I could also consider this to be a tiny 1-2. A third wave could be down already. We could get here a fourth and a fifth and build the pattern in a more direct fashion. Yeah, there are many interpretations available, and if we break here the 78.6% retracement, the last level of support for direct continuation higher, I would probably be expecting this wave C, even with high probabilities, to unfold in the blue interpretation. But yeah, we have a rough idea where we could expect this pattern to form a full count. We have some rough idea of the expectations we could have once the full count is done, and yeah, some idea of the potential that is available here on this chart, because the wave C is still an expectation I am tracking. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.